Hi, this is Jason Nicholas Major for Truth, Justice, and Mysterious Ways, Chapter 6. For Chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, look in the YouTube series below. Alright, let's get right to it. Chapter 6, The Bridge. At the Ambassador Bridge adjoining Detroit, Michigan to Windsor, Ontario, Canada, an expensive limousine found itself stuck between two semi-trucks. The lines going into Canada were not moving at all. Cars honked at each other, as if that would somehow make things go at all faster. In the collector's booth, a 30-year-old white male with blonde hair sat in his seat, annoyed at how slow his days was going. Where are you going?" he asked the truck driver. The truck driver, an African man in his 40s, pulled out his passport and identification as well as a paper identifying who he worked for. Two trucks behind him, an overweight late 30s man with balding hair sat in the driver's seat of a black limo and honked the horn repeatedly. Honk, honk! He rolled down his window and yelled out at no one in particular. Come on, get moving, you guys! Ron Chevy looked at his watch. It was almost lunchtime. He was already running late by an hour. His boss, who was sitting behind a shaded window in the back, would not be happy. Maybe things would clear up soon, he thought. Maybe the boss wouldn't notice that they had already been sitting at the border for the last 15 minutes. Maybe they were on the phone and hadn't noticed how much time had passed. Maybe the three of them were busy talking to each other and weren't paying attention. Maybe there was a knock on the window from the back seat. Ron opened the window. Yeah, boss? What's the holdup? Why am I late? Michael Cranston, dressed in a dark black suit, asked angrily. I'm so sorry, sir. It's the traffic, you see. I guess it's just the time of day. You know, lots of big trucks coming in and going into Canada, you know. You imbecile, this is the lane for the trucks. You're in the wrong lane. Get into the right lane this instant, Michael shouted. Ron put his face in his palms, partly because he was completely embarrassed and partly because he feared someone jumping into the front seat and smacking. So sorry. That's my bad. How embarrassing. Ron looked outside the car window and turned his car back into the proper lane, and turned his limo back into the proper lane. Michael closed the window and turned to his companions. His lady love, Susan, was dressed in a dark purple suit with a lighter shade of purple for the dress pants, her hand on his thigh. Jack Douglas, the taller, broad-shouldered man with a dark beard and black hair, sat on the left side of Michael. He was wearing a dark gray suit with a red tie and white shirt underneath. Jack was Michael Cranston's good friend, bodyguard, fellow actor, all in one. He had his arms folded across each other. Even sitting quietly, he looked intimidating. He looked like he would break your arm if you looked at him the wrong way. Susan tapped Michael on the shoulder. That moron did remember to bring our passports, right? Michael's eyes widened in horror. He opened the car slot window again. You did remember to bring the passports and birth certificates, right? Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, Ron replied. All ready for the border guy. Why don't you get them out and prove to me that you have them? Michael ordered. Oh, yeah, of course. I know they were here a second ago. Ron looked in both of his pockets and jacket. No, not there. Michael's face started to turn red like a volcano about to blow up. Luckily for Ron, he didn't see that, and then he suddenly remembered where he put the passport. Oh, yeah, that's right. I put him in the glove department. He pulled him out. 1, 2, 3, and me. Yep, all here, boss. Can I just kill him and throw the body off the bridge? Jack asked while Michael shook his head and exasperated. Michael only responded with an audible sigh. There were 3 cars behind the gate. In the right lane, fondly, Ron started whistling a song. Non-copyrighted, of course. Relaxed now that the cars were moving. At the collector's gate was a man named Brian Jeffrey, a large Jamaican-American man in his early 40s with a short beard and dreadlocks. He hated his job, but at least he was happier now working for the day shift instead of the midnight shift, which typically saw more drunk teens going back and forth across the border. Brian waved off the next couple cars, almost in a robotic fashion, when he saw the limo pull up to the collector's booth. Hey, that's a nice limo you got there, man. May I see the faces of who was in your back seat? Ron had closed the back seat window. Oh, yeah, sure. He opened up the back seat window, and the trio in the back grinned with almost artificial smiles you can imagine. No, nothing to see here. Brian looked over the identification. It says here you're Canadians. How long were you in the States for? Oh, well, I think it was Tuesday, no, Wednesday, or was it last week? Ron asked himself. Before Ron could sputter more, Michael interrupted him. We've been gone for the last week since Monday, good sir. We are performers. We were performing a week-long show at a Shakespearean festival in Jackson, Michigan, of Hamlet. We won several awards for our traditional telling of this famous tale. He smiled. Michael smiled. He was quite proud of himself and his accomplishment. Brian rolled his eyes. Yeah, I don't really care. All I need to know is, man, do you have anything to declare? Why, no, officer, Susan responded seductively. Brian finished looking over the passports and gave back to Ron. I thought you just said you did a show. You didn't make any money from it? You didn't buy anything? He asked. Yes, that was done at a theater and deposited into our accounts already, Michael answered. Mind if I look in the trunk? The collector asked, walking out his booth. We have nothing to declare about luggage and costumes, my friend, Michael responded. Ron, show this man that we have nothing to hide. Ron popped open the trunk. Brian looked in the back and saw several suitcases along with costumes on top of them. He looked at all the luggage and costumes and looked at his watch. He had the option of either to check everything out or to let him go and have his lunch. I don't have time for this, he decided, mumbling to himself. He came back to Ron. Okay, guys, you can go. Ron breathed a sigh of relief. Oy! And they, like that. Oy! And they pulled into the road leading into Windsor itself. Susan smiled mischievously. I told you that they wouldn't bother to look through all our belongings. Naturally, Michael replied. He was more concerned with lunch than anything else. Not that it would have mattered. All you would have found were bundles of cash hidden away in the costumes anyways. We could have easily blamed Ron and said that he didn't put the money yet in the bank. Well, enough drama. I'm hungry. We were supposed to be going out for lunch. Sarah said, turning to Jack. Susan, sorry. Jack, maybe you can message them and tell them that we are all ready to have our meeting with them. Jack pulled out a cell phone and sent out a text message. Done. Who are we meeting today? Ron asked, looking for the highway. Michael answered, our next goal is a Christmas show in Windsor. We're going to be looking for a venue to host our play, the Shakespearean Nativity. So, next stop, Bethel Calvary Church. Da-da-dum, da-dum, dum, da-dum, ominous non-YouTube sounding song. Truth, justice, and mysterious ways will continue. See you later. Bye. See you later. Bye. Mysterious.